Hi, my name's Lindy Cowling. Welcome to this channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk and my email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. And if you wish to get in contact with me about events, seminars, or one-to-one sessions, one-to-one client sessions, email is the way to do it, please. So the title of this video today is 50 Shades of Twin Flame. 50 Shades of Twin Flame. Now, I am mostly bringing this video out as a response to the volume of requests I have got to talk about this subject, and as usual it will be my own personal take on it based on my own personal and professional experience. As always, everything in this channel, everything through my channel is based on personal experience and professional experience working in with those circumstances with people, or actually going through it all as well personally myself, which is why I always say it's been the long, slow way round. Because it hasn't just come through as channeling, it's come through as living experience. Very long, slow process of it, crawling through the mud and going through the different parts of the process and the different stages myself. You have to excuse my hair. My hair is still wet. And I was in a hurry to get on here this morning because it's a bit like if you were a painter, you're doing a piece of art, or you're writing something and you suddenly get all this inspiration to just be talking about it. Today was the day, and so I'm kind of fitting this in when I didn't expect to be fitting it in, and didn't even get a chance to dry my hair properly yet. So today is the day to do it. So 50 Shades of Twin Flame. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, oh, hello, cat's come to visit. I'm talking about the suffering, hello, the suffering implicated in the whole arena and the belief system of twin flames. I'm talking about the false light. I'm talking about the light programs. I'm talking about all of this side of things. Some of what I'm about to cover I have already alluded to in earlier videos on my channel. If you want to go back and look at those videos, you're welcome to. There are ones like the glove, the octopus, the spider, how disruptors strike. Any of the videos I talk about disruptor energies, the light programs was an early video I did. The cycle of suffering was another one. Unrequited love programming was another one. These were all early videos that I was alluding to this process anyway, because I kind of realized very early on that there was an immense amount of suffering caught up with twin flame union and the belief system of twin flames. When I say the belief system of twin flames, I am absolutely not saying or stating that that concept does not exist, because I was crashed through and brought through right in the middle of twin flame union and that whole template, and that has been a big part and in a way at the heart of my own development and consciousness. What I am saying is, like any religion or like Any institution, there are belief systems around it, and that is rife with belief systems. That template, very, very negative, detrimental belief systems exist in there, and I'm going to go actually further than that in a minute. So I'm not saying here anything that I haven't said before in little parts over the course of a 3-year period on YouTube. What I'm doing is bringing it all together because I've been requested to bring it all together as a result of somebody else's video. And I was asked for my spin on it. And some of what that person said in their video, I totally agree with. You know, totally agree with. And there are a few aspects of it I wasn't too, sure on, but the rest of it I totally agreed with. So I've been asked to bring this out as a result of that. So 50 Shades of Twin Flame. Just in case this is the first video you've ever watched on this channel, the definition of twin flame: aspects of same soul within 2 human bodies in the same timeline. I could get more controversial, and I'm not saying anything here that I haven't said before, and said that within multidimensional awareness of consciousness, the definition could be aspects of same soul within multiple human vehicles in same timeline, alternate timeline, multidimensional reality. But that's another subject and another thing I've already covered again on YouTube. Another video I did, the multiplication of twin flames back to 1, all 1. I think I put another one I brought out from twins to triplets. So that's another subject. But for point of definition, so you understand if this is the first video you've watched and trying to get a handle on what the hell a twin flame is supposed to stand for. It's the representation of same soul in, the most common representation is in 2 human bodies. But if you get to a certain state of consciousness within you, you may or can get to a point where you accept that it can be in more than 2 bodies. But that's another subject. It does not mean in any way, shape or form that the soul is split in half or broken in half. It is a complete soul represented in multiple form. It is way too linear to say that it's broken up in half and one half of the soul can't exist without the other half of the soul. In fact, the whole purpose of that journey is the opposite of that. It's to come into a state of absolute unified field, to come into a state of unity, of completion in the absence of all those other stimulus, to come into that state of realizing you are absolutely complete. It is a state of unity and unified consciousness. So you're not dependent on the other half of your soul, because it's not another half, it's another representation of your soul. So let's start number 1, false light. This is something that I became aware of probably about 2 to 3 years ago, maybe longer than that. And I have spoken on it on YouTube before, the light programs and things like that, the video I brought out. I personally am very discerning about where I use my energy, where I send my energy, and I never and have never, through pure instinct, jumped on the bandwagon of just sending light to a group or community that send light. Now, before I get people jumping up and down, like crazy, I am not saying that that is wrong, and I'm not saying that at all. And I'm saying, there are plenty of absolutely reputable people out there, I am sure, are doing fantastic work by doing that. But me personally, I've always been very discerning about you know, linking in with something and just sending light. I prefer personally to always work from the heart and send or link in via love and via that frequency, a heart frequency, because I am aware that that cannot, if you like, be misused. So that is the way I prefer to work. And I did become aware some years ago that there are what we call light programs, and the false light is a series of light programs where people assume that just because they are linking into light or sending it to light, or they are seeing visually light, that is actually the heart light or Christed consciousness, or whatever word you want to say to it. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not that at all. And so what you can be doing is feeding false light, and also, you know, basically getting nothing back from that, because it doesn't give anything back. What it gives back is an illusion really. And so it's like a bottomless pit. You're feeding into that energy, and you're getting nothing recycled back apart from illusion. And all of that illusion really appeals more than anything to the human ego, but also the spiritual ego. And it is so commonplace. It is unbelievably commonplace. And I only know this, if you like, because I've worked in that arena for 17 years, not a few months, 17 years of working in that arena. It took me a very long time. It's only been in the last anywhere between 2 and 4 years, really, that I've fully seen from first-hand experience. And I've only seen it because of my own evolution, because as you go up in your consciousness and you elevate up into your own heart perception and your own heart consciousness, you will see through the eyes of the heart. You will hear through the eyes of the heart. You will feel through the eyes of the heart. So you will recognize these holographic false realities and false light. And so don't beat yourself up, because you won't see it. When you're at a certain level of consciousness, you won't see it any more than a mouse on the foot of an elephant walking through the jungle or wherever would be able to see the view from the top of the back of the elephant, unless it was on the top of the back of the elephant. You'll only perceive what you're able to perceive according to your level of consciousness at the time, like all of us. So don't beat yourself up for that, but it's something to be aware of. And if you're asking me if it exists, I know it exists. I don't think it exists or suspect. I know it exists because I've seen it and dealt with it. And so that goes on hugely. And in fact, it is rife on this planet. It is rife. It's like a virus. And another video I brought out was soul viruses and the soulless among us. Much of that links into what I'm saying here. It is rife and it is there. And although we don't have to focus on it, it is there. And it's awareness again. Awareness is key. So it's about being discerning about where you are sending your energy, how you are using your energy, and is your energy coming from your highest state of discernment and awareness, which is more from your heart, because that gives you the reality really of that situation, and then you won't be lured into or drawn to that. So let me just clarify again. To make it clear here, I am not saying that any groups that work on sending light out to certain countries and light out to the world and light out to the grid and light out to this are of false light. Many of them are not, and they are have masses of integrity. They are coming from the heart and they are doing amazing work. What I am saying is the false light programs exist, and they've always existed, and they are rife, and that you need to use your discernment before you choose from your own free will what you get involved with there. Now, false light is rife among the whole word, sound, and belief system of twin flame. And again, before you jump up and down, I am not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying the virus, the false light, the junk, the crap, the infection, the contaminant is all over the word twin flame, which is why many of us don't even like to use the word anymore. I don't like to use the word anymore. I'm only using the word so that people can identify with it, and I can try and help people that are entangled with that. It's the only reason I'm using the word, not because I like the word, because actually it's totally contaminated, and it's become more contaminated because every Tom, Dick and Harry, so to speak, have jumped in on that bandwagon and it's become swamped now, and actually not swamped in a good way, swamped in a way that everybody feels linked to it and are obsessing about it and are distorting around it, and the whole thing is actually is spiraling in a way kind of out of control, really. So that's why you will see some people like myself, in some ways, we've stepped back a little bit from it. We've not stepped back from the work. I'm working extremely hard. What we have done is step back from always using that word. And I myself personally, I'm not a member of I don't participate in any Facebook groups to do with twin flames or anything, or social media whatsoever. I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm sure for some people it is enormously helpful and it's a support network. I'm sure for some people it's a lifeline. And I'm sure some of those groups are the utmost integrity. But for me, as an empath and as someone who is super sensitive to energy, the noise of that, I can't be around it. It's like, and I hear it clairaudiently, it's a mess, it's a noise, it's a jumble of noise. It's like, and most of that noise isn't positive noise. It's not divine love noise. It's not bliss. It's not the heart noise. It is mania. It's obsession. It's screaming. It's rage. It's distress. It is suffering. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. And there are people that are meaning really well, but they are throwing fuel onto that fire by keep propagating this cycle of suffering. I brought a video out on that cycle of suffering ages ago. Round and round these people go in this melting pot. And if there is not a constructive network of helping people to find themselves back to the heart, to their own unified field, to a state of balance, completion and unity, then anyone contributing to that is part of the problem, and they are feeding this infection. They are feeding a contaminant. And I love to talk in percentages, in case you hadn't got that message from earlier videos. I love to talk in percentages. And if you ask me how high the percentage is of contamination, noise, mess, mania, obsession, belief within that whole term twin flame, and with everything connected with it, I would go as high as 80%. 80%. And that's increased significantly even in the time that I've been involved in that template. not only does it propagate, if it's not a system, and there are people that have systems in place and they're marvelous, they're doing fantastic work, that are teaching people to have a complete relationship with themselves, to come into the balance within themselves. There are people out there doing that work and doing a commendable job. But there are equally people out there who are not doing that work, they're actually promoting suffering either intentionally or non-intentionally, with their own agendas attached to that, whether they realise it or not, whether it's financial agenda, getting a name for themselves agenda, whatever it is. I'm not pulling any punches here, because basically I'm a healer through and through, and I do not like to see people suffering or hear them suffering. Anyone who is a genuine healer and who has any semblance of love and care for people, humanity, does not like to hear or see that. And if anything, it's increased. This is why I can't speak on behalf of Jenna Forrest. And by the way, I love Jenna Forrest. I love Jenna Forrest's work. For those of you that don't know, she was the original person that laid out stages of twin flame union, and she put it up on YouTube, and the millions saw it. In fact, hers was one of the first videos I ever saw way back in 2010, when I crashed into the twin flame union myself. Actually, it was a very beautiful video, but I can't speak for her, but she took that video down within the last about year or so, because I feel she recognised immense amount of suffering caught up in that template, an immense amount of people caught up in there, and that increasing. I can't speak on her behalf because I don't know Jenna personally, but I feel that's part of why she did that. My God, how much integrity has she got? An amazing amount of integrity. She took down something with millions of views because she felt it was contributing to a belief system and suffering. In my own way, I've kind of been chipping away at that for a couple of years myself, bringing out videos, trying to alleviate people from that. But sometimes it's just like calling into a hurricane, quite frankly, because people either don't want to hear it and they stick their fingers in their ear, or they just turn on you like a pack of wolves because you're saying something that they don't want to hear. And all you're trying to do is stop the suffering, help them disentangle themselves from suffering. That's all someone like me is trying to do. We're trying to help. You know, there's no other motive behind it. So there is a real mess around the whole belief system of twin flame, and there is a lot of negative suffering and disruptive energy in there. So let's go on to disruptive energy. I blew the whistle effectively on disruptors 2 to 3 years ago on YouTube, because of what I had seen, witnessed, experienced in my own first-hand experience, which took me down spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. On a soul level, it took me down to my knees, quite frankly. And I exposed disruptor energies, and I wasn't the first person in the world to do that. There were other people that had identified an energy in their way. And when you pull it all together over the years, I've seen that we're identifying more or less the same structure in place, which is a non-human entity that works through and feeds through minimum 4th dimensional level, infiltrates down into 3rd, and is like a giant octopus, really, or spider, and feeds that way through institutions, through associations. It's most common people to use a psychopath, sociopath, narcissist. If it has a connection that it can fabricate, or a genuine connection where there is a genuine same soul in other body, and it can infiltrate that or affect that by one of the personalities being sociopath, narcissist, psychopath, then it gets an unlimited source of life force, soul energy, by the propagation, by the promoting of continual suffering. I mean, I had to stop there a minute because I remember, I mean, I just got a wave of how bad that felt and how bad that feels for you. Try and really take on board what I'm saying here. It works by promoting continual suffering. That's how it feeds. It feeds through continual suffering. So for those of you that are involved in connection that you truly feel is twin flame, and some of you are correct, but that you feel is twin flame, and even if you're not correct, but that you are longing all the time, yearning all the time, crying all the time, you can't move forward, your life is stuck, you're in a triangle situation all the time, you're on the end of a psychopath, sociopath, narcissist all the time, getting hammered, you're going round and round that cycle of suffering, or you're sharing that suffering in Facebook and other people that are going round and round share it to you. Who the hell do you think you're feeding? I'm getting, I can feel the emotion of it, and the emotion I'm feeling here is not sadness. I really feel for you because I've been there. Who do you think you're feeding? You're feeding this. You're feeding this. You're feeding a disruptor, and they are rife within this system. I suspect they're rife everywhere. But I mainly comment and share through my own experience. And I know full well it's rife in the soul arena. But they work through political institutions, they're across the world. And where it comes to the twin flame, it's an enormous amount of pain is released from you guys. I know because I've been through it. I can't get this, I'm getting really quiet. I mean, you can probably see it in my eyes. I'm getting so passionate about this because I so feel for you guys here. And, it's very unusual for me to get teary on camera. That's how much I'm trying to get through to you here. You don't realise what you're doing by feeding. You're feeding this continuously. And you could say to me, well, how do we break out of this loop? That's exactly what you do, is you break out of that cycle of suffering. You break out of that loop. You don't keep feeding into more of what you don't want, banging your head against a brick wall, shutting your head in the car door. It's like laying down under a car and being run over and over again. That's what many of you are doing. If you've truly connected with someone, and if you've truly connected with a twin flame, if you've truly connected with a catalyst or a soulmate, the way for you to move forward, and the way for you to move the connection forward, the way for you to get the hell out of Dodge and get under the influence of a disruptor energy, is to look to you. Look to yourself. Look to your own well-being. How is this serving me? How can I heal from this? Get the help that you need. Get to the people that you need to help you, to point you in the right direction, to help you clear some of this stuff so you come fully back to you. So you come fully back to your own unity, so you come fully back to your heart, so you come fully into completion, balance in relationship with yourself. There are people out there doing this work. I'm not the only one. There are people out there with integrity who actually care about humanity and are trying to help. And I can't believe how emotional I'm getting about this, because really, and my heart is aching talking about this, it's very unusual. I don't usually get this passionate, that it's kind of hurting. But how I work to my detriment many times is I feel to do the work I do, it takes a lot from me, because I have to feel what you feel. And I'm an empath as well. I feel what you feel. I experience echoes of what you've experienced. And when I've really experienced it firsthand, that gives me even more empathy. And that's not actually, it's not detrimental to the work I do. It's detrimental to me sometimes, but not to the work I do. It enables me to help you in ways that I couldn't help you otherwise. So I can really, really feel this, and my heart is pounding and is aching as I say it, because I can't bear the thought of you doing what some of you are doing. I can't. It's too painful. It's too painful to watch it. That's why I don't jump into Facebook groups. The ones that are operating very lot of integrity and are doing amazing things at transforming people's lives, I don't, because it is too high a price for me to pay. The noise of your suffering is too much. At the end of the day, you have to make a decision, really. Do you want to keep putting yourself and your head in that oven, or do you want to break that cycle, and do you want to come home to who you truly are? Because if you've truly met a twin flame, or you've truly met a soulmate, or you've truly met a catalyst, or whatever the label is, or none of those things, if you've truly met somebody that you want to be with, or you've truly got to a stage where you just don't want to feel like shit anymore, you're going to have to take some responsibility. You're going to have to take some responsibility. You're going to have to face some things you don't want to face, and you don't have to do it on your own. There are plenty of people out there. There's not just people like me. There are plenty of other genuine people out there that want to help you with this, that don't want to keep promoting you going around that circle so that they get a name for themselves, or lots of YouTube hits, or financially do very well out of it, or are actually linked into that false light and are linked into that agenda and are enjoying your suffering. I'm not going to pull any punches here. I'm not going to pull any punches here, because basically, you know, I love you guys, and I can't bear to see you do this. You can see why this is a video that I haven't put off, really, in a way, but I knew this was going to be a really big one. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like it. When I bring these videos out, there is no middle ground for someone like me. There's no middle ground for anyone that comes from the heart. People love us or they hate us. There's no middle ground, because we bring everything up. We say it as it is. We don't just say it out as we see it. We say it as it is. And people either love that or they hate it. I get just as much crap every time I bring out any video on twin flames, actually. Any other kind of the work I do, people seem to love it. Anything to do with twin flames, they slam me down to the ground. Why the hell do you think that is? Do you think genuine twin flames, genuine divine love, responds to genuine integrity and divine love with love? No, it doesn't. It's everything coming from other than that. Not just people's personalities and jealousies and anger and recrimination. It's a bigger picture here. You've got to look bigger picture. If you're anything to do with twin flame union, you cannot look so linear at this. You have to look bigger picture. Because it's always bigger picture. It's always on multiple levels. It always starts at the top first. And false light is there. The deliberate propagation of suffering is there. Light programs are there. Unrequited love program is there. And all I care about is getting you into your hearts, where you will experience your highest experience of reality, where you will experience your highest versions of life, where you experience life, where you will have your highest connection to yourself, where you will have your highest connection to others, and where you, although may have challenges and obstacles and bumpy rides in that experience, you will not be stuck in a stagnant mode or long periods of suffering. You will be able to move through that much quicker, not stuck in those loops, and come into a place of total completion and unity within yourselves. That's all I care about. I want that for you, probably more than you want it for yourselves. And that is what I find the most painful, ironically. On that note, I'm going to love you and leave you before I start crying. I didn't expect the video to go this way, but I so trust my own instincts and intuition, and I so trust my higher self and the team that I work with, that I totally feel what happens, happens. I obviously have a decision at the end of the day whether I feel it's the right thing to put the videos out. So when they come through in a form I didn't expect, obviously I needed to come through as raw as it could possibly be shown. You know, does that take courage on my part? Yeah, it bloody does. It takes courage to feel it every time I feel it, and to share it every time I share it. And this will probably be the only video I bring out on this aspect of it again, unless this aspect of it changes and changes form. What I'm trying to do is stick a drawing pin in a balloon of crap, and burst it. I'm not the only one doing that, tied into this twin flame union. There are others working tirelessly to that end. So I hope it helps. I hope you take it on board. This is not a video to promote fear. What I'm trying to do here is promote love. And is it the most loving thing that you're doing for yourself? Banging your head continuously against a brick wall. You've got to consider your well-being first. Regardless of the connection you're in, you have to consider that. Because if you don't get the right mindset on this, you're never going to get your end result anyway. These connections don't come together when in this loud, noisy mess. They don't. That's why so many of them haven't come together. Because so many get caught in this bit. I know, I got caught in that bit. I know what I'm talking about. Please, look to your own well-being. Look to your heart. Get the assistance you need, and your priority is to get you out of that loop. I can promise you, when you make that decision, that decision on a soul level, a spiritual level, a mental level, an emotional level to do that, the help is there, and you will move through this process so much easier. The true meaning of that template will come to light, which is not supposed to be this suffering. And you will stop feeding what is promoting that suffering. It's a win-win all the way round. On that note, I will love you and leave you. Please take this video the way it's intended. From my heart to yours. Thank you. Bye bye. I love you and leave you.